Of manslaughter in the shooting of a Japanese exchange student. 16-year-old Yoshi Hattori was killed after he rang the doorbell at Pierre's home while looking for a Halloween party last October. He rang the wrong doorbell. Pierre's admitted to firing the gun, but he said he had no choice. He feared for his family. The defense contended the way the student acted made it reasonable for Pierre's to believe his life was in danger. The prosecution argued that Pierre's was criminally negligent. The student's father was not in the courtroom for the verdict, but later on, through an interpreter, he said he was appalled, and he called the verdict unbelievable. What made this story unbelievable to some is that Hattori was dressed for the Halloween party in a white tuxedo like the one John Travolta wore in Saturday Night Fever. Rodney Pierce said he yelled "freeze" to Hattori, who apparently did not understand what that meant. He now says he's sorry about the shooting and he plans to throw his guns away. Well, we're still learning details about the tragic life of 5-year-old Kayshawn Blackledge, whose body was found in a trash compactor in Brooklyn. Police are searching for a man who lived with the boy and his adoptive mother in Jersey City. They say the adoptive mother, Dana Blackledge Poole, is a relative of the natural mother. She is also a transsexual, and she's been in the hospital since Thursday with stab wounds. That's the same day the boy's body was found in the trash compactor. He had been beaten and strangled. 3 people are in the hospital tonight after being caught in a crossfire. It happened outside the Gowanus housing complex in Red Hook, Brooklyn. Police say the victims were not the targets. The bullets were aimed at someone else. The people who lived there weren't surprised to hear about the shootings. They say they're used to it.
It's a bad neighborhood around here. They shoot every single time around here, a few times a day. If it's not this day, it's the next day. These people around here got small children. They can't sit outside anymore. And it happens every now and then, but nobody shows up, nobody does anything about it.
The 3 were taken to Long Island College Hospital, where they are listed in stable condition tonight. About 100 Westchester families are staying with friends and relatives tonight. A fire ripped through their apartment building in Hartsdale. The blaze started in pre-dawn hours in the cockloft. That's the space between the top floor and the roof. It took 3 hours to bring it under control, and it caused extensive damage. There were no injuries. Anyone who had a spare ticket to this afternoon's Knicks playoff game suddenly had lots of friends. No question, it was the hottest ticket around. And Kyung-Yoon found out that everyone from the celebrities to the regular Joes had a case of Knicks fever.
Go New York!
All around the Garden and throughout the city, it seemed New Yorkers had only one thing on their minds.
Go New York. The Knicks are going to win.
Bulls are going down. Bulls are going down.
And who do you want to win? The Bulls. The Bulls. The Bulls.
As game time approached, the demand for tickets reached a fever pitch, with buyers and sellers rushing to find each other.
We were lucky enough to find a couple here on sale.
How much did you pay?
We paid $100. We're coming from Pennsylvania. It's worth it. Who knows? I hope they're real.
Even some celebrities had a hard time getting seats.
I almost had to compromise myself to get these tickets.
Oh.
I haven't seen a game this year. I have a little Knicks shrine at home. If I don't get a good seat, there's histories of angina in my family.
Knicks all the way.
And game tickets weren't the only items in hot demand. Fans snatched up souvenir hats, T-shirts, and basketball cards. And it wasn't all just Knicks fans.
The Knicks, they bums. They ain't going nowhere. Chicago's going to take it 3-peat.
But it was clear that no matter how many Bulls fans rally here today, their voices were bound to be drowned out by all the New Yorkers rooting for their home team.
And that's no bull. In Manhattan, Kyung-Yoon, Fox News.
Of course, the Knicks won. Tom McDonald will have all the details on Sports Extra right after Fox News Sunday. The latest poll in the mayor's race finds Mayor Dinkins and Rudolph Giuliani virtually neck and neck. The Daily News says if a Dinkins-Giuliani election were held today, Mr. Dinkins would squeak by with about 48% of the vote to Mr. Giuliani's 42%. But 10% of those questions said they haven't made up their minds yet. President Clinton faces another tough week of sparring with members of the House and Senate, this time over his proposed energy tax. But as Jan Smith reports, much of his battle is not with the Republicans, but Democrats.
President Clinton was barely out of church after a sermon on good government when he talked about his next battle with Congress.
President, keep fighting. He's doing a great job. I'm just getting warmed up.
The president is fighting senators in his own party who warn that his energy tax will fail as is. Democratic Senator David Boren is leading a bipartisan campaign against the president's energy tax. But the chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan, says Boren has pledged he will not cast the vote that will kill the president's package.
He's going to be with us. He's a Democrat. And remember the Finance Committee. That's a responsibility to the party and to the nation.
This week, another proposal will be introduced in the Senate to increase the gasoline tax by 8 cents a gallon and make more spending cuts. Louisiana Senator John Breaux plans to put that forward.
But I think there should be a compromise on an alternative that we could reach that would allow the president's deficit reduction plan to pass.
White House officials keep insisting the president's plan will prevail. Deputy Treasury Secretary Roger Altman.
And there's no incentive for us, therefore, to make a change.
There is an incentive for this White House not to repeat the mistakes that killed the president's job stimulus package. The White House cannot afford not to compromise if inflexibility will cost the votes needed to get the president's tax package through Congress. At the White House, Jan Smith, Fox News.
Former President George Bush says he still would have traveled to Kuwait even if he had heard of the plot to assassinate him.
Some of you probably read about the attempt in Kuwait, and it was real, and we didn't know about it until after the fact, after we got back here to the States. But had I known, and had the decision been mine, I still would have gone. It's not a macho thing. But that's how much confidence I have in the men and women who dedicate their lives to the Secret Service of the United States.
Mr. Bush spoke before the National Restaurant Association, and he told the group he believes history will be a kinder and gentler judge of his presidency than the jury of 1992. Still ahead on Fox News Sunday, some frightening moments in the Bronx when a boy fell on a fence. Hundreds gathered to call for U.S. help in Bosnia. And what a day for a ride. We'll show you how the bikers took over the Big Apple when we come back.
Before you see the last action hero, see the first action hero. Schwarzenegger, Predator, Monday at 8 on Fox 5.
At last, it's evening, and a hot home-cooked meal can make up for so much. Bird's Eye Easy Recipe. Food from the heart, not the microwave. Just brown fresh chicken, then add the Easy Recipe blend of crisp Bird's Eye vegetables. Carrots, snow peas, broccoli, peppers, plus pasta, and a savory sauce. A great meal for two in minutes. So you do what you can, we'll do what you can't. Bird's Eye Easy Recipe. Let's make dinner together.
If you've always been content just to observe an eclipse, right now, you have a choice of two offers guaranteed to get you moving. Lease the 1993 Mitsubishi Eclipse for as little as $169 a month. Or buy one and get $1,000 cash back.
Get the Eclipse you want at your Tri-State Mitsubishi Motors dealer.
Some people come to Massachusetts because it's so easy to get here. Others like it because it's so hard to leave. Look for your free Massachusetts Summer Getaway Guide at all CVS locations.
Which plant food is best for you? Just ask these prize-winning gardeners.
I taught gardening for 10 years, and I used to tell my students, Miracle Grow will get you started right.
Miracle Grow feeds the plants two ways, through the leaves and through the roots.
Miracle Grow gives you more flowers on every bush.
People ask me, why do my 250 rose bushes do so beautifully? And I tell them I feed them Miracle Grow.
You'll never know what a great gardener you can be until you use Miracle Grow.
A Bronx boy had a harrowing experience after being impaled on a fence. Police say the 12-year-old was trying to climb a wrought iron fence when he slipped. The spike went through his right arm. Firefighters used a blowtorch to cut the fence and rushed him to Lincoln Hospital. Surgeons removed the spike from his arm. Tonight, he's in stable condition. The latest peace plan to end the fighting in Bosnia is coming under fire. We'll tell you about that in a moment, but at least one leader welcomes it, the head of Bosnia's Serbs.
I agree with President Clinton that Serbs and Croats should help Muslims to get reasonable territory. Once we achieve that, and once we get Muslims around the same table for the talks face-to-face on territorial issues, we can announce that we are approaching final political settlement.
And the fighting continued in that civil war. 2 policemen were killed and 5 wounded in an ambush in the Serbian province of Kosovo. Here at home, hundreds turned out to demand that the U.S. help stop the bloodshed. Jeff Weiser has that story.
Emotions are running high as the debate and the violence goes on in Bosnia. Hundreds rallied in New York City outside the United Nations building only one day after the U.S., Russia, and other European allies announced an agreement to contain the fighting in Bosnia-Herzegovina. The protesters came from many walks of life and ethnic backgrounds. Jews, Christians, and Muslims criticized what they say is apathy by world leaders. Most want the UN arms embargo lifted in Bosnia.
This is clearly illegal, as indicated by the UN Charter 51, which indicates very clearly that any country belonging to the United Nations, if not allowed to defend itself, should be given the arms and wherewithal to defend itself.
The 21-year-old Bosnian soldier on the left is here in the U.S. recuperating from shrapnel wounds he received when shells smashed into his foot and chest.